I mean, look what our sacked King Edward VIII, did as soon as he had been sacked. He went off to see Nazi Germany, and there's this excruciating photograph. It still makes me cringe, with him and his wife bowing to Hitler. So they're not necessarily very reliable when they're left to their own devices, and then when they want something a bit harder than soft power.
The past is a foreign country. They do things differently there, except for when they don't, because every week the historian Ian Wilson joins me for our regular feature, If Only We'd Known, explaining why actually the present rather closely resembles the past. And today we're talking about how the royals deal with difficult trips and difficult people. The Prince of Wales is in Saudi Arabia on a 3-day charm offensive to secure a free trade deal. He'll be meeting with the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Ian Wilson, hello.
Hello there.
Thank you for being with us. So Kensington
Great
Palace.
to be here.
Kensington Palace has said this is a classic example of the soft power of the monarchy. Is it?
Well, I'm not quite sure why he has to go, but it just is this convention, isn't it now, that we send royal people abroad. And it used to, when the old Queen was alive, and even when the present King and Queen go about to places, it has a kind of pleasantly meaningless feeling about it, and very seldom do these royal visits abroad have any bite to them. There are exceptions, as when the Queen went to Ireland, and I think everybody in Ireland suddenly felt, gosh, things have changed.
Tell us about that trip, the Queen going to Ireland.
It was very, very well stage managed by an excellent private secretary called Christopher Gate that the Queen had. And he said, look, go to Ireland, shake hands with the people who murdered Lord Mountbatten, which she did, and then at the state banquet in Dublin, greet them in Irish, which she did, and it just overwhelmed people. And then she went to the War Memorial, not the memorial of the Civil War that we have with Ireland, but the memorial for the Irish who volunteered to die in the 2 World Wars, and it made an extraordinary impression.
What's the secret here? Is it that actually all around the world, while they might not admit it, even in Ireland, people love our royal family? Or is it because they can kind of sort of swoop in an unthreatening manner, they can do things that government ministers can't do because they're not loaded with the same significance? Well,
I think it's the second thing myself. I don't think they're necessarily all in love. I mean, there's another good example of Queen Elizabeth II. During the 1950s, when the British were trying to disentangle themselves from their former empire, there was a leader in what's now Ghana, it's called the Gold Coast, called Nkrumah, who was very left-wing, and the Conservative government said to the Queen, if you go near that place, you're asking for trouble, and you mustn't, on any account, meet Nkrumah, because he's a dangerous communist who went to the London School of Economics, and it wants a mix of people like that. And she went there in defiance of the Prime Minister, and she danced with Nkrumah. She didn't say anything, but she danced with him. And, I mean, that was a very good example of soft power, because everybody in Africa, but particularly in the future Ghana, realised things had changed and the British attitude had softened, and we no longer regarded ourselves as superior to the Africans.
Is part of the reason why the royals are so good at soft power because we don't trust them with hard power? I mean, you look at the latest Epstein revelations.
We're right not to trust them with hard power. I mean, look what our sacked King Edward VIII, did as soon as he had been sacked. He went off to see Nazi Germany, and there's this excruciating photograph. It still makes me cringe, with him and his wife bowing to Hitler. So they're not necessarily very reliable when they're left to their own devices, and then when they want something a bit harder than soft power. And we now realise he was also, as it were, doing a Mandelson and sending emails of trade secrets or confidential matters straight to Epstein in New York.
What can happen there? Because for all that the palace says now, one can't really imagine the police in this country investigating, the former prince, former Duke of York, in the same way they'd investigate anyone else.
But I mean, in this particular case, I do feel actually quite sorry. I don't often feel sorry for royal people, but I feel quite sorry for William and Kate, who have been sent to this horrible country. And when you think that we despise Epstein and Mandelson and co. for their treatment of women, well, I mean, the way women have been habitually humiliated and terrible punishments meted out to them, even if they're caught driving without a veil on or something in their car, let alone if they're committed adultery, so-called, then, they're killed.
Well, I mean, what does that mean for... I appreciate this is maybe an obscene way around to look at it, but what does that mean for our royal family? Is it... do you think he'd be wary Prince William going to Riyadh, going to Saudi Arabia? Is he thinking, maybe I don't really want to, sort of chum up with these people?
Well, wouldn't you be rather wary? I would.
Well, for sure.
But I mean, the thing is, it says in the Times this morning, I'm sure reliably, that Prince Charles, when he was Prince Charles, our king, formed quite a pally relationship with the Saudi royal family and was always raising human rights issues, but it doesn't seem to have had a great effect on the way people live in Saudi Arabia.
What about when the opposite happens, just before we round this off? Because Donald Trump's been on 2 state visits to the UK, and these are they're kind of handled by the royals, while the politicians kind of sort of come in the back door, as it were. How does it work then?
Well, that was a ridiculous... I don't know what you thought, but I thought the Trump visit... Well, he wasn't really allowed to be seen by any single member of the British public. He was just taken from an airport and to a helipad, then driven in a stagecoach to the back door of Windsor Castle, giving this ridiculous and, I thought, humiliating to us.
But then if we hadn't had the royals, how would that even have worked? He'd have gone to Chequers and...
Tell him to F off, wouldn't he? I mean, I think there is a point. I less and less see what the point of the royals is, actually, but I think there is a point in having this kind of soft power, this fuzz, this sort of weird ritualized pretend power, precisely for occasions like the Trump one, even though I think that was disgusting, because most people don't really want Trump in this country, and we certainly don't want the king to go there, I don't think.
Ian Wilson, thank you very much indeed. I think we've clawed that back from disaster pretty effectively. So. Thank you. It's always a pleasure to speak to Ian Wilson. If you want more of that kind of content, you'll find him all these sections there on YouTube as well. Ian Wilson, thank you very much indeed.